These are in listen-only mode.
Okay, welcome everyone to our members community meeting for September 2016.
Alors bonjour à tous, bienvenue à la rencontre des membres de septembre 2016. On a décidé de faire une rencontre bilingue. So today's meeting will be bilingual, be predominantly in English, but we'll come back to this, that for our francophone members, feel free, pour nos membres francophones, sentez-vous à l'aise de poser vos questions en français. Oh, I apologize for the screen wasn't showing. Let's try that again.
Okay. Welcome everyone to our members community meeting for September 2016. We're glad to be back after the break in August. Our meeting will be bilingual.
Donc, tel que mentionné, notre rencontre va être bilingue. Là, je suis désolé pour le petit contretemps. Voici votre communauté vos organisateurs de la communauté des membres. Claudia, you can present the directors.
Oh, sure. Our monthly meetings are brought to you by our member committee and our communications committee. Susan Keenlyside, our chair, is currently at the Standards Committee Summit in Korea. Carl Veillette, Eric Poirier, and myself, Claudia Corsi-Darto. If you have any questions or suggestions, comments, please email us at information@ibc-bsc.ca.
Donc, Claudia mène la rencontre aujourd'hui. Suzanne est en Corée pour le sommet de Building Smart International pour les standards, donc pour les 2 prochaines semaines. Et ainsi que Carl Veillette là, qui va faire partie de la présentation aujourd'hui.
Our topic today is BIM Collaboration Format, also known as BCF. Will be presented by our guest, Alain Bolduc, who is the developer lead at BinTrack, along with Carl.
Donc, le sujet de la rencontre aujourd'hui, c'est le BIM Collaboration Format, BCF. Donc, Carl et nous avons la chance d'avoir un invité spécial, Alain Bolduc, qui présentera le format BCF en détail.
This is a go-to webinar. You are all set to mute. At any times during the presentation, if you have questions, you may raise your hand or enter the question in the question box. We'll field all questions at the end of the presentation.
Donc, voici l'interface GoToWebinar. C'est peut-être un peu différent, mais si vous avez des questions, il y a l'option de lever la main. Aussi, vous pouvez poser des questions dans le chat. Et aussi, nous aurons un sondage à la fin. Donc, on vous invite à participer dans le sondage. Tel que mentionné, la rencontre sera principalement en anglais. Cependant, si vous avez des questions pour nos membres francophones, n'hésitez pas. Nous resterons en ligne après la présentation. Puis sentez-vous bien à l'aise de poser votre question en français. Puis si vous avez d'autres, contactez-nous, là, on peut tout partager.
An update about our members. The members committee community has grown to 305 members across Canada and internationally. Our Building Smart affiliate program is growing. Soon to come is the Toronto Community Affiliate Program, and an Affiliate Advisory Committee is also about to begin.
Donc, nous avons 305 membres jusqu'à présent et aussi notre programme d'affiliation nationale grandit. Nous avons souhaité la bienvenue au groupe d'Edmonton et aussi le groupe de Toronto qui est qui est dans les planches qui devrait être annoncé bientôt. Just as the question about will the meeting be in English, as we mentioned, it will be predominantly in English, but right now we're doing bilingual for just the benefits of our Francophone members.
Our goal is building a national network of excellence for Canada's built environment.
Le but ultimement, c'est de créer un réseau national là, de l'excellence dans l'environnement bâti, un réseau qui partage des points communs au niveau de la création de valeur et de l'amélioration des pratiques dans l'industrie.
I'll pass it over to Carl for today's presentation on BCF.
Donc, on va le passer à Carl Veillette et Alain Bolduc pour la présentation d'aujourd'hui. Sentez-vous à l'aise de poser des questions. OK.
Okay. All right, so you see my screen? All right, so welcome everyone. So today we're going to talk about BCF as discussed. So today's agenda is going to be the following. So we're going to talk about what is BCF itself, why and when we use BCF on BIM projects. We're going to do a quick demonstration of file-based BCF exchange with different softwares. So we're going to use a bunch of softwares like the BCF Year extension by Matteo Community for Revit. We're going to use the using cloud collaboration. Then I'll pass it to Alain, and he's going to talk about the BCF from a developer perspective point of view. So he's going to explain what the BCF zip is and the XML contained in the BCF zip. So he's also going to explain how BCF helps developers achieve a greater compatibility between different BIM softwares. And then we're going to finish with a question session. All right, so basically, when I'm trying to explain what a BCF is, it's basically like an email. Okay, so in an email, you're gonna write an email to someone. So you're gonna assign someone to the email, obviously. You're gonna write a description about the question, an issue, or other type of stuff that you need to communicate to someone. And then you may attach an image. If you're working with BIM, you may take a screenshot and then put it in the email and then send that to someone else. So basically what BCF does, it's wrapping all that information into a single format, and because it's linked with the building information model itself, it also captures some sort of camera point of view that it attached to the question or the issue. So it does improve compatibility between different softwares that may be used to accomplish a project. So basically what BCF does is kind of replacing an email, okay? So BCF, the BCF format was developed by Building Smart International. It was the version 2.0, which is currently the latest version, was developed in 2014. Published in 2014. It's a standard and neutral file format used to exchange coordination information. So if you edit a BCF, you may be able to see what's the information in the BCF. So it's not blocked by any software manufacturer. It's fully open. You can develop around the BCF yourself. It is really a collaboration format. So the ultimate goal of BCF is to solve coordination format compatibility issue. So it will help you find a viewpoint or an orientation in the building between different softwares. So you may take something in SolidBrief Model Checker, and then you want to share that specific issue or question with someone working in another software, an authoring software like Reddit. So in this case, you can, number one, send an email with a screenshot of the model, but the person working in the other software will have to find this location manually and then solve the problem in context. So what BCF does, it's transferring that camera information to the other stakeholders involved in the project, so that it's easier to find the location in other softwares. So a BCF may look like this. So usually you have the author itself. You have a date where the issue or the question was created. You can create a title. So in this case, I have a clash with HVAC in the HVAC system and some steel trusses. You can assign a priority. You can also add some description, which is the message contained in BCF itself. And you can also bind objects that are related to the specific issues, so that you can select them in the softwares. And it also attaches a snapshot, which is currently displayed with markups on the right side. So this is the content of the BCF itself. So a reason to use BCF is obviously it solves BIM software compatibility issues during communication. So if some of you may be aware that in some cases, different versions of the same software may not be compatible together. So let's say you've got a structural engineer working with Reddit 2014, and he's trying to exchange some saved views with some architect working in Reddit 2016. He may not be able to do that because obviously they're working in different models, and they're also working in different versions of the software. In some cases, this workflow can happen between different softwares as well. So you may try to exchange something with SolidBrief from SolidBrief Model Checker to Reddit. Okay, so obviously there is no common file format to be used for coordination between those two softwares. So BCF can be used for that. And it also accelerates the process of locating an issue. We published a case study about the Quebec City Airport project. We talked about that in a previous session, so we were able to save 88% of time required to access the location of a specific issue in the model. So it's really improving that process of coordination between different stakeholders and different softwares. So BCF can be used in for different things. It can be used for customer quality control. So if you've got a primary BIM manager in a project, he's doing some quality control. So if he's doing some clash detection, some code compliance checking, he can exchange the results of that as BCF instead of sending a PDF to different stakeholders and then receiving their comments as markups in the PDF and having to merge all of those markups to have the latest information. You can also send information requests. So let's say you're in the field. You may use BCF to exchange or ask questions to different stakeholders involved. Visual communication between stakeholders, so it can be used to present things. So you can save some viewpoints as BCF, and then in a formal presentation during a coordination meeting, you can explain the project and some specific things related to the progress of the project too. You can use it in multi-party coordination. So as I mentioned before, between let's say the structural engineer and the steel manufacturer. You can use it also as single-party coordination. So inside your own team. So if you have like let's say, two groups of architects working in different locations in the world. Let's say you've got a guy working in Dubai and the other architect firm is located in Montreal. They have to collaborate together. It may be very useful for them. And it can also be used to support for change requests as well. So something to keep in mind when you want to use BCF on a project is to set up shared coordinates before you start the project. So a good way, I think I do on my own project is using geodetic coordinate system for all my models, so that I can make sure that the camera coordinates that are exchanged in the BCF matches for all the building information models used in the project. So this can be documented in a BIM management plan or any other kind of best practice document that is created for the project. So as you may know, in some softwares you may have multiple coordinate systems. So you may have a local coordinate system used for documentation, and in some softwares like GIS softwares, you may have another set of coordinates that are related to a specific geodetic system. So the only way you can use BCF in all those models is by using the same coordinate system. So it's usually the common one is usually the geodetic system. So some software that supports BCF. So there's a growing number of software that implement BCF in their features. So we've got Solibri that have been supporting BCF for a long time. Vectorworks, Navisworks with the BCF exporter from Case. ArchiCAD, BinTrack is one of them. Tekla plus the common tool, which is an extension that you can install. Reddit plus the BCF here from Matteo community. The DDS CAD and Tekla BIM site have native support for BCF files as well. And there's obviously other software that are not displayed here that supports BCF, such as Aconex and other construction management platforms. So in each of those softwares, they have their own way of creating BCF with different features. Sometimes it may be confusing because you're looking for a tool called BCF export or BCF import, but it's not. It doesn't always exist. So let's say, for example, on the Tekla BIM site, a BCF is called a note. So you create a note and then you can export that as a BCF. In Solibri, a BCF is a presentation. So when you run a clash detection report, you create a presentation and then you export your presentation to a BCF. In BinTrack, a BCF is an issue. So basically what you're managing is a bunch of issues and you export that to BCF file, or you import BCF and transform them into issues. For Navisworks, a BCF is a viewpoint. So using a BCF exporter from Case, you can save your clash detection reports as saved viewpoints and then export your saved viewpoints as BCF. In Revit, if you use the BCF Euro extension from Matteo community, you're basically exporting a view. So a BCF is named a view. So it's something to keep in mind if you're looking for a BCF feature. It may not be available, but usually it's any kind of view-related feature will provide the information required to produce a BCF. So now let's jump to the technical demonstration. So I'm going to explain how to produce, import, and export BCF out of different softwares. And after that, I'll come back to the presentation and show some cloud-based process. Okay. So let's jump in Solibri first. Okay, so here I'm using a project. I opened it in many different softwares. This is a car dealer project based in Montreal. We have this model open here. I ran a clash detection test here. So just quickly, I assume that most of the people may have heard about clash detection before. So I'm not going to explain that in details, but Solibri Model Checker is a clash detection software, so it's used for finding potential conflicts before construction on site. So here I created a clash detection report, and then I saved some of those issues as a presentation here. So I can click on any of those issues here, and then find some docs here going through steel beams. So once I have all the presentation saved here, I can export that into BCF. So the process is pretty simple. I right-click on this, I click on Report here, and then I choose which version of the BCF I want to use, so version 1.0 or version 2. So the difference between 1.0 and 1.2 will be explained by Alain later. I can give a report title here, and then I can save that on my desktop here, and then I get a BCF zip file. So this is my export from Solibri with the structure and mechanical components. So the first thing you can do is open that in Windows Explorer using the BCF from Mateo community, which is a Windows or a desktop version of the BCF reader. So this is very useful. As obviously, you have to check what you're going to send to a specific stakeholder involved on the project before you send it. So usually, if you use a PDF to exchange coordination report, you're going to open that in Adobe PDF or Adobe Reader, and then check the content. So basically, if you install the BCF for Windows, you're going to be able to double-click on this and see the content of the BCF zip file. So here, as I said, I'm using the BCF here, so I can click on any of those issues here. I can see that there's a screenshot here. The description is also in the title here. I can add some additional comments like this. So I'm just going to write test, change the status, is it open or closed, and then publish additional information about this specific issue. So once this is done, I can save it. So the BCF is also acting as an editor. So if you need to change stuff outside of the BIM software itself, stakeholders like the project manager who doesn't have any BIM software can use this BCF for Windows to add additional comments before sending it to let's say the architect. Okay. So I'm just going to close that for now. I'm not going to save it. So this is basically the process of exporting BCF out of Solibri. Okay. You can also import BCF. So if you click on New Presentation like this here, you can click on From BCF File and pick any BCF. So in this case here, I have a bunch of BCF generated with different softwares. So I have already imported BCF coming out of BinTrack, BCF coming out of the BCF here for Reddit, BCF coming from a case exporter. So I'm just going to click on, let's say, case BCF exporter here. So I can see the two images that were captured in another software. In this case, it was Navisworks. So if I click on this, it's going to bring me, hold on, exactly at the right location in the building. So we can switch back and forth like this between different issues and add additional comments and then export that new version of the issue with the new comments as BCF for the other stakeholders to review it. So this is really useful because I didn't have to explain where it was located in the building. So I didn't have to say this was level 2 between grid line 16 and 17. Okay, so obviously this is all saved in the Viewpoint itself. So it saves me a lot of time to explain to the user where it is located. I only have to focus on what the issue is, so describing the issue itself. So in TechLab Insight, you also have a clash detection feature. So now I'm using TechLab Insight here. So I have the exact same model open here. So I can click like this here and then retrieve some. I can import BCF by clicking on add note here, and you can add some description like this here, and then save it as a note. Once it is saved, you can also export that. So I click on Save to File, and then by default it's going to use the BCF zip version 2.0, if I remember well. And then I can save that here and then retrieve that specific point of view in another software. In Navisworks, it's a bit different. So I'm using an extension in this case. So Navisworks doesn't have out-of-the-box BCF export features. So I'm using the BCF exporter from Case. So this is an open source add-in. You can find the source code on GitHub. So if you just type GitHub and BCF exporter on Google, you will probably find it really quickly. So what's nice with this this add-in here is that I can export specific viewpoints like this as BCF file. So if I select the viewpoints in the list, click on Export Issues, and I can save that, let's say, on my desktop and call it BCF from Case Exporter. And now it's creating that BCF like this. And if I go on my desktop here, open that BCF, you can see the two issues. So I may have to adjust my viewpoint as well to see the objects. So right now they're not displayed because I'm using wireframe display mode. And it also captures a description of the issue which were collected and generated by the add-in itself. In Revit, so now let's switch on the other side, on the modeling software side. I'm using the add-in called BCF here. So like Navisworks, Revit doesn't have out-of-the-box BCF export features. So you can install this BCF here add-in. It's all free. You click on BCF here like this. I can open something coming from another software. So in this case, I'm going to open the BCF I just exported from Solibri, like this. And then now let's say I want to retrieve the location in the building itself. So I'm going to click on, let's say, this issue here. There's a steel column with a dock like this here. So I'm just going to click on it, and it's going to open the exact same view. So now I see the dock here and the column that were displayed on the image right here. Okay, so as you can see, it's really quick to retrieve the location. It's a lot faster than reading a report and reading the grid line location in the level. You can also add comments, additional comments to this specific issue, and then save it back as a BCF, and then send it to other stakeholders. So if you're working in the same office, you may use a network occasion to exchange BCF. There's also something called BCF REST API, so you can mount the BCF on an external server that is shared between different stakeholders. And there's also a bunch of different softwares that can exchange BCF in the cloud, like BinTrack, that I will show in a couple of minutes. Another thing you can do, as I said, if you're, let's say, working with two stakeholders are working with different version of the same software. So here I have the same project open in Revit 2017. So let's say the architect is working in Revit 2017. He's working in some office in Dubai, and then there's another guy here working with Revit 2015, and he's working in an office in New York. So obviously they want to collaborate, so they can obviously do it the old way. So they send screenshots by email, but it's not a very efficient way of collaborating, especially when you have hundreds of different issues or questions to send during the design phase. So in this case, what you can do is obviously use the BCF here. So I'm going to open again my BCF coming out of Solibri. And no matter if I'm working in Revit 2015 or 17, I'll be able to retrieve those specific locations in both versions of the software. So this is something that is currently not supported by Autodesk as of now. So if I click on this here, I can retrieve the column immediately like this using the same BCF, no matter what model I'm using. So BCF is completely independent. It's working. It's not linked to a specific model. As I said, it's a camera point of view. It's a set of coordinates. So you can exchange that without sharing the model. So if as long as they're using the same coordinate system, you'll be able to retrieve the location very quickly. There's also something you can do with the BCF. There's a tool I would like to show you. It's called BCF Word Exporter. So in some cases, you may want to print BCF. So in all the tools I shown before, let's say in Revit 2017, the BCF doesn't have any print feature. So if you want to print those BCF, you can export them and use that BCF Word Exporter to convert a BCF to a Word file. So basically, when I run this this program here, this tool, I can select any BCF like this, and then I can choose a template. So if you want to change the header or stuff like that, I'm gonna pick a Word template like this. And then I can change, okay, the title of the BCF or the question of the issue will be using this specific style, and then click on the save, and I'm going to override this one here. And now I can double click and open that BCF in Word. So I can see the screenshot. There was not any comments in this case, so I'm just going to close it. So I may have a more detailed BCF. Hold on, I'm just gonna do another export with this one here. Okay, so I'm gonna run that again. Okay, so now I have more information. So I have a description of the issue, the Clash 21, which was the title of the issue, and I have the snapshot here saved in the Word file. So now I can just print out of Word as usual. You can also do some formatting there. So it's a very useful tool. It's a free tool. I think it's available on a blog called BIM 42, if I'm not mistaken. So you can check it out on Google and download it if you need to print BCF. So now let's jump back to the presentation here. So now that we have a very efficient way of exchanging viewpoints and different locations in different models, there's still a challenge left because it is still a file-based process. So you have to exchange those files. There may be different versions of those files exchanged between different stakeholders as well. So the BIM manager and the BIM molder have an efficient way of exchanging information between different software, and they may use IFC to exchange the models as well. But it's still very time-consuming process. So I'm going to show you another process. It's also using BCF, but there's a cloud-based storage. We're using, in this case, the tool called BinTrack. BinTrack is basically an issue tracker. So what you can do is import all those BCF coming from different softwares, and then centralize them in the web so that there's only one version of the BCF exchange between the different softwares. So let me jump here. Okay, so here I imported some IFC files that I previously exported out of the same project. So it's all web-based. So I imported those IFC here. If I go on the question here dashboard, I have a bunch of issues that were created on this specific project. So all of these were BCF generated. So when I have a new, sorry, the interface is in French right now, so I'll just translate it live. So you can import the BCF by clicking on the menu here, click on import. And then now I can browse and select some BCF files. So I'm going to click on browse here, and then I'm going to take some of these. Okay, so these are the BCF. Okay, so I have the BCF coming from BCF Error, BIM Site, BinTrack, Case. So I'm going to import the Solibri one and the Case ones. Well, let's start with Solibri because there may be a lot of issues in this. Open, and then I can assign, I can set the default attributes of this specific BCF. So if I'm leaving it as is, it will use the values defined in the BCF itself. I click on import. Now it's processing the BCF and uploading it in the cloud so that it becomes available to other users working in the softwares like Revit and Navisworks. We have some specific add-ins for those softwares to retrieve the issues very quickly. So let's say now I jump in Navisworks. Okay, I'm just gonna go here, and then I'm gonna reset the view display. Okay, so this is my model. So I have an add-in here. If I click on refresh like this, I'm gonna see the BCF coming from Solibri. So it's gonna be pulled automatically from the cloud. So instead of exchanging a BCF file, I'm using this add-in to retrieve the latest information, and so it's always up to date. And I click on view in model like this, and then I can see the column here and the doc clashing as per the original issue. So this is a very optimized process of coordinating BCF files through the web. Also, if I go back to the web, let's say I want to see those issues displayed in a 3D model. I can go in 3D model like this here. I can turn on my BCF that I previously, my IFC that I previously uploaded like this here. Okay, so now I've got my model loaded in the web. So for stakeholders who doesn't have BIM software, it's very useful. And then I can click on issues like this here, and then I can select any of those locations. So in this case, I'm going to use issue number 280, and then I can hide some stuff, and then retrieve the issue, which was the dot going through the column like this here. So this is a couple of workflows that involve BCF. You can also export BCF out of this platform. So if I go back to the issue dashboard here, I can click on the gear, the small gear here, and I can export. I have to select them first, and I can export that to BCF 2.0. So let's say if you want to work offline, because it may happen in a process where you have to do some coordination on field, and you have some models on your desktop, and you have to review those without an internet connection. It may be useful to use the file-based exchange as well. So I will pass it to Alain, and he's going to explain you what BCF is made from.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Alain. I'm a software developer here at BinTrack. So I'm gonna just do like a very quick overview of what a BCF file actually is. But just before that, I'm just gonna tell you in terms of a developer standpoint, how is it important to have such a file format that can be interchanged between applications. So the BCF zip is available to everyone, and it's very well documented. So from a developer standpoint, it's very easy to implement in our own development. And another big point is that the format, the file format that's used, it's basically XML. So I assume most of you are actually able to open an XML file and understand what is going on in the file. And as I said, it's very easy to implement because it's very used. It's widely used among the development community. So it makes it very easy to implement a BCF solution in our own products. So how is the data saved on file? Basically, a BCF zip file is just a zip file with a different extension. They probably put down a specific extension just to be able to double click and open it in tools like BCF here. So it's easy to recognize the BCF file on your hard drive, and what you can do is it can be opened with anything that handles zip files. So basically 7-zip, WinRAR, just even Windows itself can handle zip files. So you can just go on your BCF zip file, rename it as a zip file, extract it on your hard drive, and you can browse it just like any other folder. So this folder it's what I'm going to show you today. The BCF itself has a list of files and folders. The first one that's very important, it's the bcf.version file. That basically this file is just a very quick XML showing us the version that's used that was used to save this file. So we talked about version 1.0 and now 2.0, and that's how we recognize if which version is used to produce and to handle the BCF zip. As you've seen just before, when Carl opened the BCF in BCF here, there was different topics. So each topic is linked to a uniquely named folder on inside the BCF zip, and that's basically just to avoid collisions with the names. So although it's not something you see in BCF here, they are basically just file names. And each folder, inside each folder, there are basically at least 3 files. The first one is markup.bcf, and this one holds all the information about the comments, about the topics, the viewpoints themselves, and everything you can think of what you could do in BCF here. You'll find them in the markup file. There's one thing I didn't write in the markup.bcf content is the header tag, which you can see in line 12. This tag also holds the IDs of elements that are used the different software handles them, but it can be, for example, dash detection. There's also, sorry, there was some feedback. So there's a snapshot.png file. That's basically the exact image that you have seen in the previous slides from Carl. It's the image of the issue itself, just like this. And the third one is a viewpoint.bcfv. This one is also an XML file, and I think it's probably the most important if we want to achieve interoperability between the softwares, because this is the file that allows me to place a camera and to orient it correctly, like just to set the position of the eye and the direction in which I'm looking. So from the 3 files, from a developer standpoint, this is the most important file that we have to find in the BCF zip. So just a quick note on BCF 1.0 and 2.0. Basically, 1.0 was having actually what I've showed you in my previous slide was the main items that we have to find in BCF zip, and they are held by BCF 1.0 specification. But BCF 2.0 added some other degrees, like you can have multiple snapshots inside one single topic, which we could not have in BCF 1.0. There's also a file that can be included. It's called extension.xsd. I'm not gonna talk a lot about it, but just know that you can put basically anything you want to put in the BCF zip file. And extension is just the bridge that tells the BCF programs to how to handle user data.
So basically, if you wanted to include some elements of an IFC file in the BCF, you could do it, right?
Exactly.
You could use BCF to exchange some partial models from one software to the other.
Exactly. In BCF 2.0, there's also better classification, status, and author identification. So all in all, it's just BCF is a file format implementation that's very easy in development environment because, as I said before, it's widely used. XML is widely used, and the documentation is very clear on how to handle it. So, and the most important thing I think is that the XML file is human readable. So even if you don't have a software to handle the BCF zip, you could just open them on your Windows software and just read it, and you would be able to understand most of it. So.
And also for those of you who have their own RFI systems and you're planning connected with the building information modeling software interface and stuff like that, BCF may be really a time saver in terms of standardizing all the communication environment between the software and your own custom platform. So something to keep in mind if you're planning to connect that, have a look at BCF first, and it may really help you. Okay, so I'll pass it to Eric. So Eric, we have a short survey, right?
Yeah, I'm just going to take the screen back. And we're going to present. So first off, thank you very much for this presentation. We have 3 questions for the poll. On a 3 questions pour le sondage. First question: do you use BCF? Est-ce que vous utilisez le format BCF au courant dans votre pratique de tous les jours? Do you use BCF in your everyday practice? I'll give another 10 seconds. Okay. Close the poll. So, majority does not use BCF. Donc, une majorité qui n'utilise pas le BCF. C'est intéressant. Moving forward, this will help us sort of target areas to work out and to delve into. For those that answered that you do use it, what do you use it for? Pour ceux qui ont mentionné qu'ils utilisent le BCF, pour quelle raison ou pour quelle utilisation utilisez-vous le BCF? Donnez 5 seconds. Donnez un autre 5 secondes. So principally clash detection and coordination. Apologize. And for those that responded that you did not use the BCF poll, the BCF format, how do you coordinate? What do you use to coordinate and resolve conflict? Donc, pour ceux qui ont répondu qu'ils n'utilisaient pas le BCF, comment est-ce que vous procédez avec la coordination et la détection des conflits? Un autre 5 secondes, another 5 seconds. All right, so email with screenshots, 50%, HTML report, 33%, and other 17%. Donc, courriel, 50%, rapport HTML, 33%, et autres, 17%. Donc, intéressant. Interesting results here. So I don't know, Carl or Alain, if you want to comment on those results. So a majority do not use BCF. Those that do use it for coordination and clash detection. And ultimately, majority of people use emails to coordinate. I don't know if you want to comment or
yeah, sure. It's very interesting because I was previously using HTML report when I was doing coordination with Navisworks and Revit mostly. It is an efficient way of exchanging reports, but it's just not as good as BCF would be, because obviously the camera location has to be described, so you have to tell where it is in the building. If you use BCF for that, you won't have to describe where it is in the building. You're just going to click on the BCF, click on open, and it's going to retrieve that location automatically. So it's much more efficient the way it works. It takes a lot less time for the end user, the guy working in the modeling environment, like the Revit guy. He's not gonna have to read the HTML and find the location in the building. He's just gonna open a BCF, click on open, and then bang, that's the view. It's there. Emails with screenshot. It's basically the same thing that HTML. It works in a way that if you have, like, let's say 50 elements to insert in an email, obviously you're gonna attach the HTML report in the email. Or if you want to put all the screenshots in the email, it's just going to be a super long email. Plus, you're not going to have any link with the building information model itself. So again, you have to describe the location of the issue in the building. So if you keep in mind that the coordination is very time-consuming in a project. So if you can improve it only like 5% of the time it requires to do coordination, then you just save a lot of money. So it's very worth like looking at the BCF. Like it really transformed my life. Like since since I first started using BCF, like I save so much time in coordination. I just can't believe that I was working without that before that.
So, Carl, so we thank you for that. We have one question here about just the zip file. Does it contain just a snapshot in the specific view, or does it contain actual model elements? What does this impact? How does this impact the file size?
So the question is, how does it impact if you attach some elements to the BCF itself?
Or, well, I guess the BCF file itself, does it contain any of the model elements, or is it just a snapshot and of the view and sort of the coordinates and so forth? Like what basically what is contained within the BCF zip file?
Yeah, so it's basically a lightweight format. So in most of the cases, it's only going to be a snapshot and the camera location. But you can also save element IDs. So if you want, let's say, to include elements related to a clash, so we talked about the dock and the column in the example before. So you can save those IDs. So not the geometries will not be saved, but the IDs will be saved. So you're going to be able to retrieve those objects in different softwares. With the BCF 2.0, Alain was explaining that there's a way to bind additional formats in the BCF itself. So in this case, I can include a part of the model in the BCF. So it's going to be a more heavy format at the end. But in most of the cases, it's very lightweight. A BCF like with 10 issues may be less than 10 megs. It's very nice for coordination, because you may send the BCF through using an email or using your cell phone, or put it on a server, and it doesn't take too long to copy because it's detached from the model. That's one of the main aspect of using BCF for coordination.
So I'm aware of the time here. We have one question around workflows. So once the conflict is resolved, you can mark it resolved, and does the issue get marked as resolved in the tracker, or I guess that's more of a question about the actual software itself.
Yeah. Well, issues. BCF have specific status, as I mentioned before. So no matter what software you're using, if they're supporting BCF, the BCF format correctly, you should be able to import those status in the software. The update may be problematic in some softwares. Issue tracking softwares may be able to update the status for existing issues as well. So it's all about like how the BCF module was implemented in the software. But yeah, the ultimate goal is that when you change the status in another software, you re-import, say, a version of the same BCF, you would be able to update the attributes itself. So you also merging the comments that were added since the last version.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. I guess we could delve into actual workflows, because I'm guessing this changes how people do clash detection, and so the clash detection meeting and so forth perhaps is changing. So down the road, I think it'll be interesting to revisit BCF and the workflows and how to optimize that. So I'm going to hand it over to Claudia to close out the meeting. So go ahead, Claudia.
Thank you to our speakers today, Alain and Carl. Stay tuned for October's newsletter for the upcoming presentation, and if you'd like to submit presentation requests or have suggestions, please email us at information@ibc-bsc.ca. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next month.
Donc, merci à tous d'avoir assisté. Merci à Carl et à Alain pour leur excellente présentation. La prochaine rencontre, c'est à la fin du mois d'octobre. On aura plus de détails dans dans le newsletter. Pardonnez mon anglais. Si vous êtes intéressé à soumettre une présentation, donc à présenter, envoyez-nous une requête à information à commercial ibc-bsc.ca. Aussi, pour la communauté francophone, nous serions intéressés de savoir si le format bilingue fonctionne. On fait des efforts d'avoir une communauté forte nationale. S'il vous plaît, sentez-vous à l'aise de nous communiquer avec nous pour savoir si le format bilingue fonctionne. I was just saying to our francophone members that we'd like to hear back from you on the bilingual format to understand if it's a good format, if we should move ahead with this, just because we're trying to really unite the community across Canada. So having this format is important. Having francophone and anglophone members is important, but we just want to know if it works for you. So feel free to contact us. And thank you very much. Merci à tous. Au revoir.